something else out here.
We are talking Reed's Point. This one is directed by Fabrigar and stars Sasha Ann as Sarah. Now, Sasha Ann is apparently a influencer who does some type of makeup tutorials, transitioning into acting now. So Reed's Point positions itself as a kind of creature feature that deals with the legend of the Jersey Devil. It opens with Sarah, Sasha Ann's character, and a couple of her friends and family members taking this kind of bus through this kind of particular kind of woodland area, and it kind of crashes, and ultimately some people are hurt, and we see that there maybe was some type of creature that either kills or seems to maybe kidnapped, particularly one of kind of Sarah's kind of cousins, for example. And we learn there's only two survivors, being Sarah and this kind of the boyfriend of her cousin. And it cuts to a year later, and these two are kind of really trying to investigate maybe what's happened and the legend of the Jersey Devil and how it may affect their kind of what happened to their family and friends. Now, what will happen in the movie? You'll have to watch the movie and find out. So let us discuss Reed's Point. This is one of these movies that you're going to be expecting one thing, but actually get something else. The Jersey Devil in this is not in it as much as you would expect, in favour of more of a terrestrial kind of antagonist, is the best way I would describe it. It is in it, but maybe it isn't the primary focus of the film. Let's just say that. What can I say that worked in this movie? I have to say, when we do see our Jersey Devil, it's a low budget production, you know, so we have to kind of give certain kind of concessions in regards to the level of, you know, effects and makeup and stuff. But I actually thought the actual Jersey Devil costume and makeup actually looks kind of quite good. I quite like the design here. I think it looks legitimately kind of like powerful and kind of, you know, well designed and kind of scary. I kind of quite liked it. And I like the fact that when we do see it, you know, we don't kind of overexpose it in too much of kind of like well-lit kind of situations. So it, you know, it kind of hides a little bit of maybe the kind of the rough around the edges man in the suit kind of, you know, elements that are obviously kind of going to be there, and makes it kind of, it does feel like this kind of creature that kind of exists in darkness. Now, this movie tries to subvert your expectations, a phrase which sends chills up many a genre fan in these last few years. But it's not always necessarily a bad thing, and I think there is an interesting story element involved here, and it's certainly a way to do a more cheaper horror film that doesn't involve a reliance on kind of special effects. And it does make the plot have more of a kind of a few twists and turns, maybe than it would have had it been a straight kind of like monster on the loose kind of movie. It's not necessarily all good news on that respect, however, I'll come on to that again, but you know, we have a reasonable amount going on. There are some kind of quite fun characters in the movie, I have to say. We get this kind of guide who agrees to kind of take our two survivors out in the forest and stuff. You know, and I actually thought his character was kind of quite fun. That, you know, quite an amusing kind of performance, quite a memorable kind of character in a kind of a lot of ways. And there's a couple of other kind of small characters as well, which I thought were quite good. But let's maybe transition on to what doesn't work. Oh boy, this movie is dumb. Really, really dumb, unfortunately. If you want a movie that makes kind of logical sense, then you may want to look elsewhere on this one. Let me just take the first scene of this movie. We have this kind of bus crash that happens on this particular kind of stretch of road, and we're talking about a large area here. And there is a one of the kind of the cast gets kind of kidnapped by something, and you know, in the context of the film, that seems extremely coincidental when it's all kind of said and done. How certain parties may be in a particular kind of place at that particular time, considering it was a random accident because there was a deer in the middle of the road. It just seems a little bit coincidental. Now, I use that part because it's kind of the first scenes, but as the film goes on, there's kind of lots of kind of things here that just seem like, this seems a little bit contrived, that seems kind of a little bit coincidental. Why are kind of characters doing this? You know, it doesn't make a huge amount of sense as the kind of the film goes on. Again, I don't want to say anything too many plot points, but we get a you always get a 2-for-1 in the monster department, and there's a kind of like a character that will kind of don a certain item of quote-unquote clothing, and think, why is it you're doing that? It doesn't make any sense about why this person will be kind of like dressed in a certain way at a certain point in the movie, because it doesn't serve any kind of real purpose. It's just dumb. It's just really dumb. I have to say as well, and there's no real easy way of me saying this, and I don't want to be overtly mean or negative, but our main character of Sarah, played by Sasha Ann, I have to say her performance was odd. Now, when I was watching this, I thought the actress might have been deaf, or whether the character isn't deaf, but the actress, the way she was delivering her lines, it kind of reminded me when you hear people who are suffering with deafness and they obviously try and speak, kind of sound, obviously a little bit kind of different. And the line delivery of Sasha Ann was like that, and I was thinking, oh, maybe she's deaf. She's not playing a deaf character, but maybe the actress is deaf. No, it's just weird. The acting from her, I would suggest, needs some improvement. Let me just say that. And the line delivery was bizarre. The way the dialogue was projected. Like I've said, it kind of reminded me of that. And I checked her bio. There's no mention of kind of her being deaf. But yeah, it's an interesting performance. I would suggest maybe there's more work that needs to be done. Again, I don't mean to necessarily sound mean in someone early in their career, but I'm only judging the end product and what it might mean to kind of consumers. And albeit there are some other kind of cheesy performances as well, and the kind of some of the dialogue here feels so unnatural. Yes, it's kind of amusing at some point from some characters, but you'll kind of get characters who are trying to do a certain thing, standing around kind of posturing and kind of having monologue stuff, and they should just get on and do things just because it wants to kind of the story to go from A to B. It doesn't really make it's just that dumb kind of feeling. I think people would be a little bit kind of put off as well by the kind of the bait and switch that this movie does in regards to the actual plot, because when it comes down to it, the actual plot of this movie, without kind of spoiling it for you, is more of a dispute between two families, is the best way I would describe it. And it seems unnecessary. I feel it's underdeveloped. We're not really given any reasons why. We're just told there is this kind of feud, and we just have that's it. Basically, that's kind of all we're gonna get, and it's been going on for generations, but it's not really expanded upon. We don't really know why it's still being carried on by the current kind of generations, and how certain parties aren't even aware of it, whilst others really seem to hold this kind of grudge for no apparent reason. And it kind of takes over the bulk of the film. And I think people who are wanting to watch this movie for a kind of creature on the loose style kind of film will be a little bit perturbed by this, unfortunately, because it maybe takes up too much of the time, and I think it gives the movie a kind of a dimension of a B plot. It takes too much time, and it ends up becoming more of an A plot, because that's what we spend most of the time with. But it's not particularly well handled anyway. So overall, this movie is somewhat of a disappointment. The creature is not as much as you would kind of like, and the ending, without telling you what it is, the ending makes zero sense. I mean, sometimes you'll think, oh, that's a little bit silly. I don't see how that would happen. The ending makes zero sense. honest, not one iota. Any goodwill that you may have muttered with this movie will be completely dissipated when you get to the end, because it makes absolutely zero sense. So this movie, unfortunately, is a bit of a miss, with a few kind of like sprinklings of some good ideas here and there, and a reasonable kind of monster costume. But I don't know if it's kind of worth pushing through this one just because of those kind of small crumbs, if you ask me. This one I'm going to give it a 3 out of 10. Have you seen it? What did you think of it? Leave me a comment and I'll look forward to seeing you next time. Bye for now.